friends, it is a beautiful Monday afternoon, so what else would I be doing but making a gorgeous scrub? So this one is going to be an emulsified scrub, and that means that it does have the emulsifying wax, but it's super easy. It's just one boil, and I promise I will step you through the whole process and show you what I'm doing. So our main base for this is going to be this gorgeous coconut oil. So this is the coconut oil we're going to be using, but there are much more gorgeous products, and this is not like a soap scrub. This is going to be a polishing scrub, so it's going to leave your arms absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. And I've done lots of testing on this myself. My daughters all love it, and it just really does make your skin feel absolutely beautiful. So let's get going. I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you exactly what we're doing. Now let's get started making this gorgeous scrub. So first of all, we need to make sure everything's sanitized. I know you've probably heard me say that lots of times, but if we don't, then what's going to happen is it means that your preservative is going to have to work super hard, and sometimes it just can't work that hard. So now we've got our scale in front of us. We do have our jug, so this is the jug I'm going to be using. Make sure you tear out your scale because we need to weigh everything up. So let me move it just in front so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Now the easiest thing with this is we're literally going to be putting absolutely everything, not the sugar, but everything else straight in here. And I'm going to give you some tips and some things that you could do as we go along. So let's start from the beginning. I'm just going to grab my shea butter bucket. So let me grab that. So here is the shea butter. I have lots of these. I buy these in massive bulk, and we just need a tiny bit. This is a small recipe, so I'm going to just put 12 grams in here. Now if you want the full recipe, it will be over on Patreon. I will be giving most of the recipe here, but of course I will put it on Patreon today because that will be a part of their recipe. They get a recipe every single Monday on there that I don't list anywhere else. So like we said, we've got our shea butter in there. Next we need some cocoa butter. So let's just tear out my scale. And we're going to pop in the amount. Now, you may want to formulate this and change it to be something different. It doesn't have to be exactly what I've done. This is just what I like personally for my business. Now, you do need the cocoa butter because the cocoa butter is going to help this get a little bit hard because we want a really nice consistency. So that's why we're using the cocoa butter in that. Now, we need some e-wax, and of course, we need some cetyl alcohol. So inside here, this is my e-wax that I get from Heirloom in Australia. You can buy it in big batches, small batches, or whatever, but for me, I just buy it the way I get it from them. And you know, it's a really good one. So don't go using the cheapest one you can find because it may not hold up, and we don't want anything to separate. So now we are just going to pop it in here. I mean, of course, this will not separate because there's no water. We're actually not putting water in this at the moment. Right, that's the right amount for that. And now we are going to put some acetyl alcohol in it. When I say acetyl alcohol, I never realized when I first started making, but there is cetyl alcohol and acetyl alcohol. So they both are a tiny bit different, but this is acetyl alcohol, which is spelled S-E-T-Y-L. Just in case anyone gets that confused, we're just going to put a tiny bit because this will help it slip beautiful as well. So that's what we're going to do. We will just pop that in there. We just need maybe a tiny bit extra. There you go, that is perfect. So we will close the lid and pop these ones away, out of the way. I'll pop them back on the shelf in a moment. So now we do have that bit there. So like I said, we've got most of it, haven't we? Now we do need to put 50 grams of our oil. So you can choose whichever oil you want. Like I said, my recipe is different to lots of others, but it's up to you how you want to do this. but I use sweet almond oil. I do also usually use some jojoba oil, but for today I've kept it to the sweet almond oil because I know a lot of people don't use jojoba oil because it's very expensive, so that's why they don't use it. But I have a massive drum, so I'm going to get my sweet almond oil. I'm almost at the end of the drum and we'll pour it in. So this drum you can see here is how I actually buy mine, but it's almost empty. So I'm just going to pour it in the top. I'll just be super careful. But like I said, it's almost empty, so I can't really make a mistake. There's not that much left in here. It's maybe a couple 100 grams. If you're worried you'll make a mistake, just pour them into separate ones first. Alright, so we have that in there. Now, this is the star ingredient, which of course is our coconut oil. So this is not hard oil. This is the liquid form, which is your liquid coconut, which is usually called a pressed coconut. And this is a premium one that I'm using. You can get this from your local shopping centre. You don't need to order this one online from a supplier. I just go to my local shopping centre, Woolworths, and get this one. It's more expensive to do it this way, but I really do love it, and you need this. Don't skimp on this one, everyone, because without this, you're not going to get that beautiful kind of gooey consistency that you really do want to rub it on your arms beautifully. So, like I said, that's what we've got so far. So we have done that bit, haven't we? So now we've got everything in here we want. That is it. The sugar is going to come later because this needs to be super cool to add the sugar. So there you can see everything's in there. Now all we're going to do honestly is literally just put this onto our stove, which I've got set aside. So let's just pop it on there. We'll turn it on. We want it to melt down, and literally that's going to be it. We're not going to do anything too more exciting than that. And of course we need to add fragrances, preservatives, and all those things at the end. So let's turn this on and get this melted. Alright, so we do have it here on our stove. This is a double boil, so this is just a little fry pan that I only use for soap products. We're going to turn this on just to about number 4. This goes from 1 to 5, so we'll put it on 4, which is sort of medium to just before you get to high. And all we're going to do really is we literally just want to melt this down. That's it. We don't need to do anything else. We're just going to melt it down. I'm not going to cover this. There is no need to cover it because there is no water that's going to escape. So literally this is it. And there's actually no stick blending, nothing like that. You don't need to do anything. We're just going to stir this literally with the spatula. So once it starts to melt a bit, then I'm going to add a little bit of mica in it. So if you want a color, this is when you would add your mica. You don't need to add a color at all, but we are going to be doing one because this one here is going to be my gorgeous vanilla fun one. So I'm going to make this a very slight blue, the lightest of blue that you can imagine. So you only need the smallest amount. But anyway, like I said, we're going to let this just melt down. I'll bring you back when that's ready, and then we'll go from there. Now, before we do anything else, I will show you this gorgeous blue that you can kind of see on the side of the camera, hopefully. And all we're going to use, honestly, if you can see that, that is just on the end of a little kebab stick. So it's literally the smallest amount. That's all I want in this one. And you can put it in now or when it melts, because once it melts itself, it's going to be fine, and stir around in there. And then, of course, the mica will help it turn this gorgeous sort of ice blue color. Now I do get this from Sudoff in Australia. That's where I get all my micas. So I hope that you guys are going to love this. Of course, we are going to come back once it's melted, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next, which is very, very simple. But in the meantime, we can organize all of our labels and get all of that happening. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So like I said, we're going to let this melt down. All right, it has melted, everyone. You can see it has melted, and all we're going to do is literally leave it on here now. That's all you do. We're not going to do anything else. It's had a little bit of a mix with its spoon. Basically, it just needs to cool down, solidify a little bit, and then that's it. So I'm just going to turn everything else off. And like I said, we're just going to leave this. We will come back once this has cooled right down, and then we can add in our sugar. So we've already added in the color. If you wanted a brighter color, of course, then you can add that in. It's a bit hot for the fragrances. We will come back and add the fragrance in a little bit later, but for now it is done. So you can see how easy this is. You literally do not need to do anything else. You do not need to mix it. It's going to mix itself. And literally that is it. So this one that we're doing now is enough just for one pot about this size. So that's basically what we're going to do. This will end up being a bit over 200 grams. So let's just let this cool down and we'll come back. Now let's add in our sugar content, everybody. So all we're going to do is make sure that everything's all liquidy, which it is. We don't want it to set too hard. And now to the side, I just have my sugar. So you want a granulated sugar, or you can also use an organic sugar. So I'm using a raw organic sugar in mine. And do remember, if you actually were using a water-based solution, so water-based means something like, your foaming bath scrub or whatever, if you're going to be using that, then what actually happens is the sugar will end up dissolving to nothing over time because the water dissolves it. But this is just oil, so this means the oil will not dissolve at all, which is super handy. So we're going to keep going. We will mix this one in and make it all absolutely beautiful. Now you can see this is it. That's what it looks like. If we want it to be a bluer color, we need to add a little bit more blue, which we might, because that doesn't look too amazing, does it? Because it looks a bit brown, and which is okay. We're just going to add some more into this anyway. Now, what I wanted to tell all of you as well, which you may not know, but if you're using like a soap whip that has a water content in it, the thing that gets tricky with that is the water, the actual sugar will dissolve in that, and then you're left with something that really doesn't have a scrub. So to do a real scrub that actually feels like a scrub, you need to do it in an oil base so that it's not going to lose the heavy content of the sugar. Now, the lower the grind of the sugar, then of course the lower scrub you're going to get. So if you're going to use one that's like an organic base, it's usually softer. So you really want something a bit like a granulated sugar, not caster sugar. Caster sugar is a bit soft and it will dilute to pretty much nothing. But this feels really good. The one that I actually use is a raw sugar. And it's actually an organic raw sugar, so it does feel quite nice. But if you want something thicker, use a heavy kind of granulated white. So now we've got this in here. Like I said, we need to add some more mica if we want a more colorful look, and we can also add in our fragrance, our preservative, and everything else we're going to add in. So I'm going to go and get that one next, and I'm just going to get some more blue so we can add some more blue into this. Okay, here is the blue. This one is only for me. This is not to sell, so I'm just going to throw a bit of blue in. My daughters would love that. I've added heaps in, but usually we would not be doing this kind of electric blue. I only put a small amount usually, but my teenage daughters will think this is super duper fun. So this is what we're going to be doing for the girls. And you can see now, look how fun this is. So can you see that consistency? I know it looks runny, but I promise you by tomorrow this will thicken up. It takes about 24 hours to get to its real consistency, and then it will be much thicker. If you want to see how thick it's going to be, just pop it in the fridge for 20 minutes and then you will get to see what it's going to be like. Now I'm going to tear out my scales. We are going to be adding in a fragrance. Make sure your fragrance can be used. So I'm going to add this tiny bit in for them. We'll do a bubblegum one for my daughters, and try and only do a very small amount. I keep to about 2%. So we've added in enough there. That's all I'm going to add in. because remember, this is going on someone's skin, so they don't want to smell like a big bubble gum or a big apple or something. They want to smell that beautiful smell, but make sure you're not making it too overpowering, everybody. So anyway, that is it for that. Then of course you need a preservative. Now if this was for my daughters and they were going to use it in one day, I wouldn't put a preservative. But if you don't use this within a few days, it will start to go off because we don't have water in this. So realistically, you don't need a preservative. There's only oils, but we know this is going to go in the shower. It is going to get water in it. And of course, wherever there is water, of course, that means there is life and all the germs that come with a water-based product. And like we said, this does not have water, but water will be introduced in the shower. So you definitely need a preservative. The preservative I always use is Optifin Plus. There are different preservatives for different things. Basically, this will work off a 1% ratio. So you need the very small amount, which we've just added in that. And then all we're going to do is mix. So you don't need to, get your spatula or your whisk, I should say, like your electric whisk. You don't need to do any of that. This is literally all you're going to do, because it is not like all of the other things that need to be whipped. And usually when you're using a stand mixer or a stand blender, all you're going to be doing is you want to blend it because you've got your water and oils, but this doesn't have this. This is just oils. So that's why you don't need to do it. So literally this is all we're going to do. You could pour it straight into your container. So pretend we've got our container. We will tear it out just so that we can see what it's going to be like, and then we're just going to put it in this. I will usually leave the lid off just to let it do its thing, because we don't want any heat, because any steam or anything will bring water into this product as well. And as I said, it does feel beautiful. I'm going to show you one I did yesterday, and then hopefully with the one I did yesterday, you'll be able to see how beautiful that consistency is, because like I said, it will take one day. It does take 24 hours before the consistency is what we want. So this in here, so you can see this has come up to 272 grams. I sell mine at 250 grams, but that's what it's going to look like. And as I said, this is the consistency at the moment. But if you want your consistency to stay like this, I would definitely say maybe just add a little less sugar. But people don't want to have oil just rubbing all over them. They want the sugar content. So mine is a lot higher content in sugar. So anyway, that's what that is. Doesn't it look beautiful? I absolutely love it. And I'm going to show you now. Like I said, this is for me. This is not to sell. It's for my daughters. So I'm going to take my gloves off now because that's okay to do that. I'm just going to use my cloth to wipe around the edge. Usually I would not do this. I would make sure that I kept my gloves on the whole time. And then, of course, I would only be cleaning it, with a different cloth than that. That's just one that was sitting here. But like I said, this is for my kids. So this is the outside. This is what it's going to look like. So we are going to pop this on the outside just so I can show you what it looks like. So this is my new label, and then of course I'll have the ingredients list at the back. So doesn't that look super, super cute? So that is the label for that. We will find the lid and then I will pop the lid on and I will show you. Now I'll be back in just a moment. I am back. So here is the lid looking sweet. So we're going to just turn this lid and pop the lid on so that we can show you how sweet it looks. Doesn't that look fun? So that is it for that. And of course we would put a label on the back, but like I said, this is for my daughters, so we're not going to do that. Now this is the one I did yesterday. Now can you see how thick this is? And I know you'll be thinking, oh, that may be looking too thick. If you want it thinner, just add some on, but you can see that it quite easily falls off. And I will show you. So if you can see in my hand, it easily just comes into your hand like that. So it's really, really lovely. So this is my own one for my daughters that I made yesterday. So if I can show you, you just use about that much. And you're just going to add it on. Now, if you can kind of see, can you see that oily a little bit of oil there. And what's going to happen is once you put this on, so if you're in the shower, let me just take some of that off. If you're in the shower, you know, rub some on like this to help your skin, and then basically you're just going to wipe it back off. You know, you're just going to rinse it off with warm water. And I do have some warm water to the side, so let me just dip my cloth into it and I will show you. And so basically that's all we're going to do. You can wipe it back off. And it just really, like, I wish you could see, but it feels so beautiful. It really does. It feels like silky. It's really like a polish. It's like a skin polish. And I have really dry skin, so this is beautiful for my skin. It's really nice. And I've definitely noticed, even yesterday, I put it all on the top of my arms and it just felt so lovely. So anyway, it is a beautiful luxury you know, thing to have, isn't it? And it just really does feel absolutely amazing. So I suggest that you guys definitely make some. Like I said, the recipe is now over on Patreon. I popped it over today, so the time this video comes out, it will definitely be on there. And hopefully you have loved this video, and of course these gorgeous things will be on my site as soon as they possibly can be. And I know they're going to run out the door because at the moment I've had quite a lot of wholesale orders this week, so I'm trying to keep up my best, but if it's missing it means I've sold out, but I will always bring them back. So these are going to be here for a year. They'll be on my site to the end of this year. So I hope you love them. I hope you loved the video, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.